My son sent me a text. Mom, we need to see each other urgently. We have to talk about something serious. The moment I arrived at the house, I realized this was not an ordinary conversation. There was a lawyer waiting, a witness sitting on the couch, and the documents were already spread out on the dining room table, as if the decision had been made before I even walked through the door. You just have to sign, Mom, my son said to me with a coldness I had never seen in him before. They all moved closer at the same time, surrounding me like vultures. I, on the other hand, smiled calmly and turned toward the door. My first guest has just arrived, I said, composed. The look of panic that crossed their faces is something I will never forget. Because what they did not know was that I had already discovered their plan 3 weeks earlier. While they were setting up this ambush to take everything I own, I was preparing something much better. A revenge so perfect that to this day my son and my daughter-in-law cannot look me in the eye. And it all started when I accidentally overheard a phone call. That afternoon I discovered that the family for whom I had sacrificed my entire life was planning to leave me on the street. Literally. They wanted to take my house, my savings, everything. But they made a mistake. A huge mistake. They underestimated me. They thought this old woman, this woman who cooked, cleaned, and took care of grandchildren for free, was much more foolish than I really am. How wrong they were. Stay with me until the end and comment with the city you are watching from so I can see how far my story has traveled. Let me introduce myself properly. My name is Helen Rivers. I am 68 years old, and for 42 years I lived for my family. 42 full years. I married very young to Robert Rivers, a good man, yes, but with little ambition. We had 3 children. Daniel Rivers, the oldest, Elena Rivers, the middle one, and Mark Rivers, the youngest. My entire life was reduced to waking up at 5 in the morning, making breakfast, packing lunches, washing uniforms, ironing shirts. I worked cleaning houses for 20 years to help cover expenses, because Robert's salary as a mechanic was not enough. My hands were left marked by bleach and detergents. My knees wore down from scrubbing other people's floors while my children were at school. And I kept telling myself it was all worth it. Or so I believed, because it was for them. It was always for them. When Daniel wanted to study engineering, I sold the few pieces of jewelry I had left, including the gold earrings my grandmother had given me. When Elena fell ill with appendicitis and the insurance did not cover everything, I had to take out high-interest loans, and it took me 3 years to pay that debt. When Mark wanted to start a business, we mortgaged the little house Robert and I had bought with so much effort. I never said no. Not once. If my children needed something, I would move heaven and earth to get it. When Robert died 8 years ago of a heart attack, I was left alone. Well, not alone, because I had my children. Or so I thought. By then, Daniel had already graduated as an engineer and was married to Linda, a city woman who, from the very first day, looked down on me. Elena had moved to Canada and barely called. And Mark, my baby, my favorite, was married to a woman named Ashley, who seemed sweet but turned out to be a snake in sheep's clothing. The first years after Robert's death were hard. The house felt empty, far too big for me alone. Daniel suggested that I sell it. It is too much space for you, Mom. You should look for something smaller, he said. But I refused. That house held my entire life. The memories of my children growing up, the Christmases, the birthdays. I could not let it go just like that. Then Daniel, according to him, had a better idea. Why don't you come live with us, Mom? We have space, and that way you are not alone. Besides, Linda needs help with the kids. Linda had just given birth to twins and worked in an office. I, foolish as I was, thought my son was opening the doors of his home to me out of love. I moved in with them immediately, and I rented my house to a family who paid on time every month. That money, together with Robert's small pension, was my only income. The first months were manageable. I helped with the babies, cooked, kept the house clean, but soon I realized the truth. I was not a guest, I was the maid. Linda would come home from work and go straight to her bedroom to rest, while I bathed the children, fed them dinner, and put them to bed. On weekends they went out with friends and I stayed behind as the babysitter. They never paid me a single dollar. They never thanked me. And when I asked for one free weekend to visit my sister, who was ill, Linda made a face of annoyance that I can still see in my mind. Oh, Helen, this weekend we already have plans. You cannot go during the week. My sister lived 5 hours away. How was I supposed to go and come back in a single day during the week? But I said nothing. I swallowed my frustration as always and cancelled the visit. That is how I lived for 4 years. 4 years as the unpaid domestic worker of my own son. And everything got worse when Mark and Ashley started having financial problems. Their online sales business did not work out as they had expected, and they went deeply into debt. Ashley began visiting me more and more. At first, I thought it was because she cared about me, that she truly wanted to spend time with her mother-in-law. How naive I was. Because it always ended the same way. Mom, you have that house rented out. Have you ever thought about selling it? With what that land is worth now that the area has developed so much, you could make good money. And here you do not spend anything. Everything is covered by Daniel and Linda. That money is just sitting there, not bringing you any benefit. I explained to her again and again that the house was my asset, my security, the only thing I had. That the rent was for my personal expenses so I would not depend entirely on Daniel, so I could buy a small gift for my grandchildren. But she kept insisting. Until one day she spoke to me without beating around the bush. Mom, I am going to be honest with you. Mark and I are in a very difficult situation. We owe a lot of money. If we do not pay soon, we will be sued. And you would not want to see your son in jail, would you? My heart sank. My baby in trouble. And me with the means to help him. What kind of mother would I be if I left him alone? I took $10,000 from my savings and gave it to them. Ashley cried, hugged me, told me I was the best mother-in-law in the world, that they would pay me everything back with interest. 3 years have passed. I have not seen a single dollar in return. But that was not the worst part. The worst part was when I began to notice the looks between Daniel and Mark, the whispers that stopped the moment I entered the living room, and Ashley's increasingly frequent visits to Daniel's house. Something was brewing and I still could not understand what it was. Until the day that changed everything arrived. It was Tuesday afternoon. Linda had gone out with the children to the park and Daniel was in his study working from home. Ashley had come to visit, something that had already become routine. I was in the kitchen preparing hibiscus tea when I heard her talking on the phone in the backyard. She was speaking softly, but the kitchen window was open. No, relax. Everything is going according to plan. Daniel already spoke with the lawyer. He says it is extremely easy. Since she lives here, we can argue that she is no longer capable of managing her assets. With the diagnosis from the doctor and our testimonies that she is losing her memory, the judge will grant guardianship to Daniel without any problem. My blood ran cold. I stood frozen against the wall, listening. We sell the house as soon as it goes through. Daniel says that with the development in the Highlands neighborhood, it is easily worth $150,000, plus the $20,000 she has saved. We get half because Elena is in Canada and will not find out until everything is done. With $75,000 we pay off all our debts, and we still have money left for the down payment on the apartment we want. The best part is that the old woman will not even realize what is happening, she finished. Daniel says she signs anything. She has always been very obedient. I felt like I could not breathe. My own children. The family for whom I had sacrificed my life, planning to declare me incompetent, steal my assets and leave me with nothing. Tears began to roll down my cheeks, but I wiped them away quickly. I could not allow myself to look weak. Ashley continued as if she were talking about something trivial. The lawyer will explain to her that it is for her own good. That this way we manage her money better. That she will keep living here with everything covered. Daniel is going to hold a family meeting next week. He already has the documents ready. We just need her to sign and that is it. She hung up and walked into the house whistling as if nothing had happened. She found me in the kitchen and gave me that fake smile that, at that moment, I could finally see clearly. Mom, that hibiscus tea smells wonderful. May I have a glass? I served her with trembling hands, praying she would not notice my face. Are you feeling all right, Mom? You look pale. I made up that I had a bit of a headache. Oh well, you are already getting old. You should take better care of yourself. That is why it is so good that you are here with Daniel so they can look after you. I wanted to scream everything I had heard at her. I wanted to slap her, throw her out, erase her from my life. But something inside me stopped me. A small voice that said, "Wait, Helen. Think. If you cause a scene right now, they will only speed up their plans." So I forced a smile and nodded. That night I could not sleep. I tossed and turned until dawn, thinking about what to do. The next day, when Daniel went to work and Linda took the children to school, I called my dear friend Grace, my lifelong friend, the only person I could fully trust. I told her everything through tears. Grace stayed silent for a long moment. Then she said something I will never forget. "My dear, I have been telling you for years that your children are using you. Years. But you never listened because you are too kind, too generous. And now it turns out they are not just using you, they want to rob you. That is enough. It is time for this friend of yours to show them that women like us are not to be underestimated." Grace had worked her entire life as a secretary at Bennett and Associates law firm. She was retired, but she was still in contact with many people in the field. She told me to come see her immediately. I pretended I was going to the supermarket and took a taxi to her house. When I arrived, she already had everything planned. "First, we are going to make copies of all your documents. Deeds, identification, bank statements, everything. Second, tomorrow we are going straight to Mr. Thomas Bennett, who specializes in these cases. And third, my dear, get ready, because we are going to teach them a lesson they will never forget." We spent the entire afternoon organizing my paperwork. While we were going through everything, Grace noticed something important. "My dear, did you know that your house is in an area that has just been approved for commercial development? It is right here in last week's newspaper. And the new light rail line is going to be 3 blocks from your property. That is not worth $150,000 like they think. It is worth more than $350,000, maybe even $400,000. My breath caught in my throat. I had been living in La Paz for 30 years, back when everything was modest. But in recent years it had changed dramatically. New businesses, restaurants, cafes, and now the new light rail line. My little house, the one we had bought for $60,000, was worth a fortune. The next day I went to see Mr. Thomas Bennett. He was a man in his early 60s, serious but kind. He listened to my entire story without interrupting me. When I finished, he took off his glasses and looked at me directly. "Mrs. Rivers, what your children are planning is fraud. And it is a criminal offense. But I understand that you do not want to see them go to jail because they are your family. Am I right?" I nodded, tears in my eyes. As much as they wanted to steal from me, they were still my children. Mr. Bennett smiled. "Then we are going to do something better. We are going to let them go all the way with their plan. We are going to let them sink on their own. And when they think they have won, that is when we act." Then he explained the entire plan to me. It was brilliant. It was perfect. It was pure justice. First, he would draft a new will in which I would specify the destination of my assets, including my savings of $20,000. Second, we would carry out a complete medical evaluation to prove that I was in full control of my mental faculties. Third, I would record every conversation I could with Daniel, Mark, Linda, and Ashley where they let their plans slip. And fourth, on the day of the famous family meeting, I would arrive with my own guests. Mr. Bennett charged me only $250 for the entire process. He told me that cases like mine made him angry and that, for him, it was almost a professional pleasure to put ungrateful children in their place. That same week I went to see a well-known geriatric specialist who gave me a complete evaluation of my mental health. Memory tests, reasoning, orientation. I passed everything perfectly. The doctor even joked with me. "Ma'am, you are doing better than many people in their 50s who come here. Your mind is completely clear." He gave me an official document certifying my full mental capacity. That would be my first weapon. The next 2 weeks were the hardest of my life. I had to keep acting as if nothing was wrong, like the confused old woman they thought I was. Serving breakfast to Daniel with a smile, taking care of my grandchildren as always, welcoming Ashley warmly when she came to visit. But inside I was shattered. Every time Daniel spoke to me, I thought, this man came from my body, I nursed him. I spent sleepless nights when one of them had a fever. I sold my belongings so they could study, and now they wanted to take what was mine. Every time Linda asked me to clean something or cook, I thought, I opened the door of my son's home to you, I took care of your children as if they were my own, And this is how you repay me? And Ashley, with her daily visits and fake smiles, making me believe she appreciated me when in reality she was only after my money. There were moments when I almost broke. One night Mark called me on the phone. "Mom, I just wanted to tell you that I love you. You are the best mother in the world." I had to bite my tongue not to scream at him. "If you love me so much, why do you want to steal from me?" But I held back. Grace called me every day to encourage me. "My dear, stay strong. It will not be long now." Think about the look on their faces when we turned their plan upside down. That gave me strength. I followed Mr. Bennett's instructions to the letter. I got a small recorder that Grace gave me and started recording conversations. One day Ashley came over and while we were having coffee she said to me, "Mom, have you thought about what I told you about selling the house? There is a lot of money sitting there that you are not using. Think about it carefully." I replied with my best confused old lady expression, "Oh, my dear, I do not really understand those things anymore. Young people know better. If you and Daniel think it is the best thing, then go ahead." He smiled with that shark-like grin. "Exactly, Mom. That is why Daniel is going to have a family meeting soon, to organize everything. You just have to trust us." I recorded every word. Another day I overheard Daniel talking with Linda in their bedroom. The door was half open and I had the recorder on in the pocket of my apron. "The lawyer says that with the medical certificate we got, there is no problem," Daniel said. "We say she has early signs of senile dementia and that is it. The judge gives me guardianship and we can dispose of everything." Linda replied as if she were talking about anything at all. "It was about time. Your mother had lived here for free for 4 years. The least she can do now is compensate us. Besides, with that money we can finally go on vacation to Maui like we have always wanted." I felt a knife in my chest. Lived for free. Me who cleaned their house, took care of their children, cooked every day. That was living for free. I took a deep breath and kept recording. When they came out of the bedroom they found me standing in the hallway. "Mom, what are you doing standing there?" Daniel asked me. "Nothing, son. I just came to tell you that dinner is ready." That night, while we were all having dinner together, I watched them talk and laugh as if they were a normal family. Daniel played with the children. Linda poured me more water with a smile. And I thought, in 1 week all of this will explode. Sunday arrived. Daniel announced it during lunch. "Mom, next Friday I need you to be home in the afternoon. We are going to have an important family meeting. Mark and Ashley will be coming too. It is about your future. About how to take better care of you now that you are older." I put on my best innocent old lady face. "Oh, son, and what is that important thing? Are you going to scold me for something?" He laughed nervously. "No, Mom, on the contrary. We want to get organized so you are more comfortable, more at ease. You do not have to worry about anything anymore." Linda added, "Yes, Helen, it is for your own good. You will see, everything will become easier for you. For my own good." How easy it is to use that phrase to justify a betrayal. The days before Friday felt endless. I went over the plan again and again with Mr. Bennett. He reassured me. "Mrs. Rivers, just stay calm. Let them talk, let them think on their own. When they ask you to sign, you say that you want to read the documents carefully. That is when I step in, along with the notary I will bring with me. Trust me, they are in for the surprise of their lives." Grace insisted on coming with me. "My dear, I am not going to leave you alone. Besides, I want to see the look on those people's faces when they realize they could not beat you." I also spoke with Elena, my daughter who lived in Canada. I told her everything over the phone and she started crying with anger. "Mom, I had no idea. I swear it. Daniel never told me anything. How can they be like this?" I asked her not to worry, that everything was under control. "But I want you to know, Elena, that in my new will you are included. You went away to live your own life, but you always called me. You always worried about me. You even sent me money even though I never asked you to. That is worth more than living nearby." Elena asked me to send her all the details because she wanted to come, but she could not get a flight for Friday. I told her again not to worry, that I had everything under control. Thursday arrived. Daniel came home from work more nervous than usual. I saw him checking papers in his study. Linda made several phone calls in a low voice. Ashley came by in the afternoon with Mark to say hello. But in reality they wanted to make sure I would be there on Friday. Mom, tomorrow it is very important that you be here early. The meeting is at 4 in the afternoon. Do not go out or anything, all right? I played dumb. Oh my dear, I have nothing to do. I will be right here. That night I spoke again with Mr. Bennet to confirm the final details. Mrs. Rivers, I will arrive exactly at 4:15. You send me a message when everyone is already gathered. My partner, Mr. Andrew Collins, and I will come in together. Do you know what to say? I confirmed that I did. I knew my role by heart. Friday arrived. I woke up early as always. I prepared breakfast. Daniel looked at me strangely. Mom, you are very calm. I smiled at him. And why would I not be, son? You said today's meeting is for my own good. He nodded, unable to meet my eyes. Coward. Linda took the children to her mother's house so they would not be home during the meeting. Adult conversation, my son said. How convenient. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Mark and Ashley arrived. Ashley brought a cake to celebrate and said excitedly, "Today starts a new chapter for you, calmer, more peaceful." I wanted to throw the cake in her face, but I smiled and thanked her. At 3:30, a man in a suit arrived. My son introduced him. Mom, this is Mr. Kevin Brooks, a lawyer friend who's going to help us with some paperwork. Mr. Kevin Brooks greeted me with a smile that never reached his eyes. A professional liar. An older woman arrived as well. This is Mrs. Eleanor Price, my son said. She's going to be the witness for the signing. It's just a legal formality, so don't worry. Just a legal formality to rob me. We all sat in the living room. My son on the main couch, Mark and Ashley to one side, the lawyer and the witness on the other, and me in the middle. As if I were on trial. The lawyer pulled out a folder stuffed with documents. My son cleared his throat and began his rehearsed speech. Mom, we brought you here because we love you and we're worried about you. You're 68 now and you're living alone. You live with us, Linda cut in. Well, sorry. What I mean is, you don't have a partner anymore. You don't have your husband. And we've noticed that lately you forget things, you get confused. That's normal at your age, Mom. Don't feel bad. Then Mark continued. That's why we think it would be best if my brother and I take care of managing your assets so you don't have to worry about anything. You just rest and enjoy your grandchildren. Ashley added in a syrupy voice. Mom, imagine not having to worry about rent checks, taxes, paperwork. We handle all of that. You just relax and be happy. Then Mr. Kevin Brooks spoke. Mrs. Rivers, these documents are an asset management agreement. In simple terms, you are granting your sons Daniel and Mark legal authority to manage your estate. They are going to sell your house because, given your situation, you no longer need it. They will manage the proceeds of the sale and make sure you have everything you require. Do you understand? I put on a confused expression. Sell my house. Why? My son sighed with fake patience. Mom, we've already explained it. You live here now. That house only creates maintenance expenses. It's better to sell it and use that money for your care. Mark added, and Mom, we're going to invest the money from the sale so it grows. That way your retirement is secured. Wise. All wise. I knew they wanted that money to pay off Mark's debts. And to go on vacation, my son. I looked at the documents on the table. And what if I don't want to sign? The room tightened. My son let out a forced laugh. Mom, don't start with that. It's for your own good. Mr. Kevin Brooks stepped in. Mrs. Rivers, we also have a medical certificate here indicating that you are showing early signs of cognitive decline. If you don't sign voluntarily, we can still move forward and have a guardian appointed for you. There was the threat. Sign or we declare you incompetent and take everything anyway. Linda patted my hand with that condescension she loves so much. Helen, just sign. You'll see it's for the best. We've always taken care of you and we always will. I took the papers in trembling hands. And it wasn't an act. I was shaking with rage. I started reading. It was exactly what Mr. Thomas Bennet had warned me about. An agreement giving them total control over my assets, authorizing the immediate sale of my property, and forcing me to waive any future claims. It's a lot, I said weakly. Can't I take these and read them carefully at home? My son shook his head. No, Mom. It has to be signed today. We've spent a long time preparing this. Besides, why do you need to read it? Trust us. Trust us. The same words they'd used my whole life while they took advantage of me. I looked at each of them, my son who couldn't meet my eyes, Mark restless, Ashley wearing her fake smile, Linda impatient, the corrupt lawyer with his pen ready, the witness who might not even understand what fraud she'd been dragged into. And then I smiled. A calm smile that threw them off. You know what? You're right. You've always known what's best for me. They all relaxed at once. My son even let out the breath he'd been holding. That's my mom, he said. I knew you'd understand. The lawyer slid the documents in front of me and handed me the pen. Sign here, here, and here, ma'am. I took the pen. I hovered it over the page. They all leaned forward, desperate. And at that exact moment the doorbell rang. Everyone turned, startled. Who could that be? Linda snapped. I set the pen on the table and stood. Oh, that's my guest. He's here. My son stood too. What guest, Mom? This is supposed to be private. I walked to the door slowly. Son, if we're talking about my estate, my future, I have the right to bring counsel too, don't I? The panic on my son's face was priceless. I opened the door. Mr. Thomas Bennett and Mr. Andrew Collins were standing there, briefcases in hand, their expressions serious. Good afternoon, ma'am, Mr. Thomas Bennett said loudly, making sure everyone could hear. I'm Mr. Thomas Bennett, an attorney specializing in family law and the protection of older adults. I'm here on behalf of Helen Rivers. The silence in the living room turned heavy. My son was the first to react. What is this, Mom? I walked back into the living room with Mr. Bennett and Mr. Collins right behind me. This, son, is what protecting my interests looks like. Sit down, please, because now this meeting is about to get interesting. Ashley went pale. Mark started sweating. Mr. Kevin Brooks snapped his briefcase shut in a hurry. This is irregular, he said. This is a private family meeting. Mr. Bennett smiled. Private so you can rob an older woman, you mean? Let me introduce myself to everyone. I've been Helen Rivers' attorney for 2 weeks, and this is Mr. Andrew Collins, who will formally witness everything said here today. My son tried to regain control. Mom, this is a misunderstanding. We just want to help you. Mr. Bennett pulled a recorder from his briefcase. Help her? Like when Linda said your mother had lived here for free for 4 years and that the least she owed you was compensation. Or like when you told Mr. Kevin Brooks you'd get a false medical certificate to declare your mother incompetent. He pressed play. My son's voice came through clearly. The lawyer says that with the medical certificate we got, there's no problem. We say she has early senile dementia and that's it. The judge grants me guardianship and we can dispose of everything. My son's face flushed. That's illegal. You can't record private conversations. Mr. Andrew Collins spoke for the first time. Sir, in this country, a person has the right to record conversations inside their own home, especially when someone is planning to commit fraud against them. This recording is lawful and can be introduced in court. Mark jumped to his feet. Mom, you've known all this for 2 weeks? Why didn't you tell us? He asked, his voice shaking. I stared at him. And why didn't you tell me when you were planning to steal from me? Mr. Bennett raised his hand. Listen to this other recording. He played the audio. Ashley's voice came through, speaking on the phone. Daniel says she'll sign anything. She's always been so obedient. The best part is the old woman won't even realize what's happening. Ashley covered her mouth with her hand. I didn't. That was taken out of context. At that moment, Grace, who had arrived with the attorney and the notary but had stayed near the entryway, stepped forward. Out of context, she shot back, furious. I've been telling my friend for years that you were using her, and she didn't believe me because she's too good-hearted. Well, the kindness ends today. Linda tried to defend herself. Helen, we've taken care of you. We've given you a roof over your head and food. Mr. Thomas Bennett cut her off, pulling out a document. Taken care of her? According to these records, Helen has worked in this house as an unpaid domestic worker for 4 years. caring for your children, cooking, cleaning, everything without receiving a single dollar. Meanwhile, you've received services that, at community market rates, amount to approximately $35,000 over those 4 years. My son let out a nervous laugh. That's ridiculous. Those are her grandkids. That isn't work. Mr. Andrew Collins replied in a firm, almost instructional tone. When someone performs domestic labor consistently and systematically, an implied employment relationship exists. Your mother could sue you for back pay, unpaid benefits, and even for the labor exploitation of an older adult. Mr. Kevin Brooks tried to slip away quietly, but Mr. Bennett stopped him. One moment, counselor. Where are you going in such a hurry? You knew that contract was fraudulent. You actively participated in a plan to strip an older adult of her property. That's fraud and professional misconduct. I hope you have a good attorney when we file a complaint with the State Bar Association. Mr. Brooks went pale. I was only advising a client. I didn't know. You didn't know a false medical certificate is illegal? Mr. Bennett cut in. You didn't know coercing an older adult into signing documents is a crime? Please. You knew exactly what you were doing. Then I pulled out my secret weapon, the geriatric specialist's report. Here is a complete medical evaluation done 2 weeks ago by Dr. Michael Turner, a board-certified geriatric specialist. It states that I am in full possession of my mental faculties. My memory is intact. My reasoning is clear. I have no signs of dementia or cognitive decline. So that certificate you obtained is worthless. My son collapsed onto the couch. Mom, this is a huge misunderstanding. I walked up to him slowly. A misunderstanding? Daniel, you're my oldest child. The one I cared for when you got pneumonia at 8 years old and I spent 3 days without sleeping by your bed. The one who cried on his first day of school and I waited outside until you came out. The one who used to hug me and swear that when you grew up, you would always take care of me. He looked at me, eyes shining. Is this taking care of me, stealing from me? His eyes filled with tears, but I felt no pity. I turned to Mark. And you, my baby, the one I defended when everyone said you'd never accomplish anything. The one I supported when we mortgaged my house to give you startup money. The one who called me a week ago to tell me I was the best mother in the world. And this is how you repay me. Mark lowered his head. Ashley tried to take my hand. Mom, we really need that money. The debts are drowning us. I jerked my hand away. And you think the solution is to steal from me? I gave you $10,000 3 years ago when you asked for help. You never paid me back a single dollar and now you wanted more. You have no shame. Mr. Bennett dropped the next bomb. There's more that you don't know. Helen's house isn't worth $150,000, the way you calculated. The area has just been approved for commercial development, and the new light rail station is going to be 3 blocks away. That property is currently valued at $350,000. A muffled murmur went through the room. My son jumped to his feet. $350,000? Mr. Bennett nodded. And based on the appraisal we commissioned a week ago, the exact value is $365,000. So you weren't just planning to steal from your mother. You didn't even know how much you were stealing. Mark stared into space as if doing the math in his head. Then I played my final card, the will. And now I'm going to read you something. Mr. Collins held the document. This is her new will, executed before a notary 1 week ago. My son tried to interrupt. Mom, you don't have to do this right now. I silenced him with a look. Yes, I do. Because you already decided my future without asking me. Now I decide mine. I swallowed and read. I, Helen Rivers, being of sound mind, leave my house in the Highlands to my daughter Elena. She always cared about me, always called, always supported me without asking for anything in return. I looked up straight at Daniel. To Daniel, I leave the sum of $1, which is the minimum required by law, so he cannot contest this will. To Mark, I leave another $1 for the same reasons. The silence dropped like a slab of stone. My savings, which total $20,000, will be divided between my friend Grace, who proved to be more family to me than my own children, and my daughter Elena. The horror on Daniel's and Mark's faces was something worth photographing. Linda yelled. This is unfair. We took care of you. I let out a bitter laugh. Took care of me, Linda? I took care of your children for free for 4 years. I cleaned your house, cooked your meals. And instead of thanking me, you were going to steal from me. That isn't care. That's exploitation. Ashley started to cry. Mom, please. Without that money, we're going to lose everything. I looked at her without compassion. You should have thought about that before you planned to steal from me. You could have come to me honestly, not to deceive me. Mr. Brooks tried to leave again. I have nothing else to do here. Mr. Collins blocked his way. You're not going anywhere until we sign the incident report. Everything that happened here will be documented, and a formal complaint will be filed with the State Bar Association regarding your conduct. Mrs. Eleanor Price, the supposed witness, spoke for the first time, frightened. I didn't know this was fraud. They told me it was a normal signing. I don't want any problems. Mr. Bennett answered calmly. Ma'am, you have no responsibility if you truly didn't know. You may leave. Mrs. Price left almost at a run. My son tried one last attempt. Mom, please, think carefully. We're your family, your blood. You can't cut us out like this. I stared at him. Daniel, you didn't cut me out of your plan. You were going to leave me with nothing, living here on your charity, without a single dollar in my name. You were going to sell me as mentally incompetent, and now you want me to think about family. Mark dropped to his knees in front of me. Mom, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We got carried away. The debts made us desperate. But I swear we love you. I looked away. You don't love me. You need me. That's different. You needed me to take care of children for free. You needed me to steal from me and pay your debts. But loving me, respecting me, valuing me, you never did that. Linda changed tactics. If you leave, who's going to take care of the kids? I work. I answered in an icy voice. Then you'll have to pay a nanny like everyone else. I'm done. Starting today, I'm leaving this house. Daniel panicked. Where are you going to go? Grace spoke without hesitation. She's coming to live with me until we decide what to do with her house. My place is small, but she'll have respect there, real kindness and dignity, something she never had here. Mr. Thomas Bennett pulled out another document. Mrs. Rivers, here is the order prepared for your departure. And here is a letter for the tenants in your home, informing them that the lease remains in effect and that they must continue paying rent only into your bank account. Daniel stood up, irritated. So she's just leaving like that? After everything we've done for her? Mr. Andrew Collins looked at him sternly. Sir, I suggest you calm down. Your mother has been extremely generous by not pressing criminal charges for fraud, conspiracy, and document forgery, because everything you planned is a crime. Could it send all of you to jail? Yes. Ashley became hysterical. You can't do this to us. We're your family. I stepped closer to her. Ashley, 3 weeks ago I heard you on that call where you called me the old woman, and said I wouldn't even realize what was happening. That's the moment you stopped being my family. Mark shouted. You let yourself spy on us. That's betrayal. I stared at him, stunned. I betrayed you? You planned to rob me for months, and I'm the traitor for defending myself. Mr. Bennett stepped in. This meeting is over. Mrs. Rivers has made her decisions clear. The will is filed and legally binding. Any attempt at harassment, threats, or manipulation will be reported to the authorities. I looked at Daniel one last time. Son, I had to sell my grandmother's jewelry to pay for your college. I gave up a precious keepsake so you could have a future. And today I find out that sacrifice was made to raise a thief. Daniel was already crying. Mom, I'm sorry. Truly, I'm sorry. I shook my head. Don't cry now. It's too late. You had months to tell me the truth, to ask me for help. You chose deception. I went to my room for the few things I had. I didn't have much. A few photos, my clothes, my documents. Everything fit into 2 suitcases. While I was packing, Linda walked in. Helen, don't be proud. Daniel made a mistake. Yes, but he's still your son. I looked at her without stopping my folding. Linda, for 4 years you treated me like a servant. Not one sincere thank you, not one day off, not a single dollar for my work. And now you're telling me not to be proud. Pride is the only thing I have left. I carried my suitcases downstairs. Grace helped me. Mr. Bennet and Mr. Collins were waiting at the door. Daniel and Mark were slumped on the couch. Ashley was crying in the kitchen. Before I walked out, I stopped. One last thing. That money I gave you for your business, Mark. $10,000. I want it paid back. You have 6 months or I'm suing you. Mark looked up shocked. 6 months? Where am I supposed to get $10,000 in 6 months? I shrugged. Not my problem. You were willing to steal $365,000 from me. $10,000 is nothing. I left that house with my head held high. Grace drove her car and Mr. Bennet followed in his. As we pulled away, I saw in the rearview mirror Daniel standing in the doorway watching me leave. I felt no pity. I felt no sadness. I felt freedom. For the first time in 68 years, I felt like my life belonged to me. Grace broke the silence. My dear, you were incredible. I'll never forget the look on those people's faces. Mr. Bennet, driving behind us, called my phone. Mrs. Rivers, let me congratulate you. You handled that perfectly. Now, about your house, we need to talk about options. With the construction of the new light rail line, that land is going to rise even more. We can wait a few months and sell for more, or we can develop a commercial project. You decide. I fell quiet thinking. Counselor, give me a few days to think about it. Right now I just want to rest. We arrived at Grace's house. It was small but cozy. It had 2 rooms and she offered me hers. My dear, I'll sleep on the couch. It's fine. You take the bedroom. I tried to refuse but she insisted. Helen, let me take care of you the way you deserve. Like real family. That night I slept deeply for the first time in weeks. No nightmares, no anxiety. Just peace. The next day Elena called me from Canada, crying. Mom, I found out everything. I can't believe what Daniel and Mark tried to do to you. I'm buying a ticket to come see you next month. I told her everything in detail. She was furious. Mom, I knew Daniel was ambitious, but this is too much. And Mark was always irresponsible, but I never thought he could go this far. I explained the will. Elena, the house is going to be yours. Do whatever you want with it. Sell it, rent it, whatever you decide. You deserve it. Elena cried harder. Mom, I don't want anything. I just want you safe and happy. I told her softly but firmly. That's exactly why I'm leaving it to you. Because you're not asking for it. Because you don't need it. Because you want me, not my money. The following weeks were an adjustment. Daniel called me several times. I didn't answer. Mark sent me messages begging forgiveness. I left them on read. Ashley even showed up once at Grace's house, but my friend didn't let her in. She's not wanted here. Leave. One afternoon I received a call from an unknown number. It was Linda. Helen, I need to talk to you. The kids miss you. I almost laughed. The kids miss me, or you miss the free nanny. There was silence on the other end. Linda, please. Daniel is doing terribly. He doesn't eat, he doesn't sleep. He feels awful about what happened. I answered without softening anything. Let him feel awful. Maybe that's how he learns. Then Linda changed her tone. You're selfish. That one stung. Selfish, Linda? I gave my entire life to my children. All of it. I sacrificed my dreams, my money, my health. And what did you do for me? You planned to rob me. So don't lecture me about selfishness. I hung up. Grace made me a cup of chamomile tea. My dear, those people are beyond help. In time I made a decision about my house. Mr. Bennet presented me with a proposal. A real estate development company wanted to acquire my land to build a small shopping center. They offered $400,000. I couldn't believe it. Counselor, what if we leased the land long-term instead? That way I'd have permanent income. He smiled. Mrs. Rivers, that's an even better idea. Given the location, we could lease the land for $5,000 per month. That's $60,000 per year. In 7 years you recover the value of the land, and after that it keeps generating income. I accepted that option. I signed a long-term lease agreement for 20 years. Now I have income of $5,000 per month without lifting a finger. More than Robert used to earn working all week. With that money, I did several things. First, I paid Grace monthly rent even though she didn't want me to. My dear, I'm your guest. I have to contribute. Second, I hired an employment attorney and sued Daniel for back pay for my 4 years working in his house. The judge ruled in my favor. $35,000 plus benefits. Daniel had to sell his car to pay me. Third, I sent money to Elena so she could buy the house she'd always wanted in Canada. She cried with gratitude. Mom, you didn't have to do this. Yes, I did. You were always my grateful child. And fourth, Mark never repaid the $10,000 I lent him. When the 6 months were up, I filed the lawsuit. The judge ordered his assets seized. They had to sell furniture to cover the debt. Ashley sent me an angry message. Because of you, my son has nowhere to sleep. We sold his bed. I replied, because of you, you almost left me without a home. At least your son has parents. You were going to leave me alone and with nothing. A full year passed after that family meeting. My life changed completely. I live peacefully with Grace. We have a lovely routine. We eat breakfast together, watch our shows, take walks in the park. With my new income, one was able to buy new clothes, get my hair done at a nice salon, travel. Grace and I went to Florida or California to see the beach. It was the first time in my life I had seen the ocean. I cried with joy when I put my feet in the sand. My dear, this is living, Grace said. And she was right. This was life. Not serving ungrateful people, not cleaning other people's houses, not wearing myself down for those who don't value me. Elena came to visit me for 2 weeks. We cried, we laughed, we caught up. She showed me photos of her new home. Mom, I have a special room just for you. Anytime you want to come visit, it's yours. I promised I would come soon. Daniel tried to contact me several times. Through mutual acquaintances, he sent messages. I miss my mom. I want to see her. But I didn't give in. I can't forgive that easily. Maybe someday, but not now. Not while the wound is still fresh. Mark at least had the decency to send me a handwritten letter, truly asking for forgiveness. Mom, I'm pathetic. I don't deserve forgiveness. I failed you. I hope someday you can forgive me, not because I deserve it, but because you're a better person than I am. I kept the letter. I didn't reply, but I kept it. Ashley, on the other hand, stayed bitter. She's been telling everyone I'm a bitter old woman who abandoned her family. I don't care. People who know me know the truth. One day at the supermarket, I ran into Mrs. Eleanor Price, the woman who was supposed to be the witness for the fraudulent signing. She got nervous when she saw me. Mrs. Rivers, I truly didn't know it was fraud. They used me. I smiled at her. It's okay, ma'am. I know you weren't at fault. She relaxed and told me that after what happened, Mr. Kevin Brooks lost his license. He was sued for fraud. And Daniel had to change jobs because people at his company found out what he tried to do and they fired him. I didn't feel satisfaction hearing that. Only sadness. Sadness that everything had gone that far. But I don't regret defending myself. Now I'm 69, 1 year older, and 1,000 times wiser. I learned that family love isn't proven with pretty words but with actions. I learned that being a good person doesn't mean letting people walk all over you. I learned it's never too late to defend yourself, to say, enough, to set boundaries. Grace tells me all the time, my dear, you're my heroine. I wish all women our age had your courage. But I don't feel like a heroine. I feel free. Free of expectations. Free of manipulation. Free of living for other people. Now I live for myself, and it feels wonderful. A few months ago, Mr. Thomas Bennett called me with a proposal. Mrs. Rivers, several older women have come to me with cases like yours. Children trying to dispossess them, abusive families. Would you be willing to give talks about your experience, to inspire other women to stand up for themselves? I said yes. I gave my first talk at a community center. There were about 50 women there, all over 60. I told them my entire story. When I finished, there was silence. Then one woman stood up and started applauding. The others followed. Some were crying. After the talk, several came up to me. I'm living the same thing. My son treats me like a servant. My daughter-in-law is horrible to me, but I don't dare leave. I didn't know I had rights. I gave them Mr. Bennet's information and told them, "It's never too late to defend yourself. You deserve it." Now I give a talk every month. Word spread. Sometimes up to 100 people show up. Older men and women who are suffering family abuse. Not everyone has property to defend the way I did. But everyone has dignity to reclaim. A woman in her mid-70s told me that after hearing me, she finally reported her son because he hit her. "You inspired me, ma'am. If you could do it, I can too." Those words filled my heart. Maybe my horrible experience served a good purpose, helping others. I also started taking painting classes. I always wanted to paint, but I never had time. Now I have all the time in the world. I'm not great, but I enjoy it. I paint flowers, landscapes, simple things that make me happy. Grace says my latest painting, a sunset, turned out beautiful. We hung it in the living room. Sometimes at night I think about Daniel and Mark. I wonder how they are, whether they learned anything, whether they truly regret it, or whether they only regret getting caught. I'll probably never know. And that's fine. I don't need it anymore. My life doesn't revolve around them. For the first time in almost 70 years, my life revolves around me. And it feels good. Feels right. The other day Elena called me. "Mom, I'm pregnant. You're going to be a grandma again." I cried with happiness. "My girl, what wonderful news. When are you coming so I can take care of you?" She laughed. "Mom, you don't have to take care of me. You have to enjoy being a grandma, not work as a babysitter. I'm coming so you can meet the baby and we can spend time together. Not so you can work. That's the difference. Elena loves me for who I am, not for what I can give her. I plan to travel to Canada when the baby is born. I'll stay with Elena for 1 month. Then maybe we'll go on vacation Maui. I want to see the country. My whole life I worked and almost never left San Antonio. Now I'm going to see this great country. Grace wants to come with me on some trips. My dear, let's start a club for older women who travel." I loved the idea. 2 friends exploring, eating well, laughing, living. That's what I deserve. That's what all of us deserve. A few weeks ago I saw Linda at the supermarket. She was with the kids who are older now, 9 years old. One of them saw me and yelled, "Grandma." He ran to me. Linda tried to stop him, but he was already hugging me. "Grandma, we miss you. Why don't you come home?" My heart broke. The children aren't to blame for what their parents do. I crouched down to his level. "I miss you too, sweetheart. But things with your dad are complicated." Linda walked up awkwardly. "Helen." I greeted her with a small nod. We looked at each other in silence. She looked tired, with dark circles under her eyes. "The kids need you," she said quietly. I answered just as quietly so the kids wouldn't hear. "The kids need a grandmother who loves them, not unpaid help. If Daniel wants me to see my grandkids, he can bring them to Grace's house for 1 hour a week. But I'm not going back to his house to be the maid." Linda nodded. "I'll tell him." I don't know whether she will. But at least I made my terms clear. Next month I turn 70. Grace is organizing a party. She invited our friends, some neighbors, Mr. Bennet and his wife. Elena is coming from Canada. It will be small but meaningful. A celebration of my new life. A friend asked me whether I would invite Daniel and Mark. "It's your 70th birthday. Maybe it's time to forgive." I thought about it a lot. Forgiveness is complicated. Forgiving isn't forgetting. It isn't saying it was okay. It isn't trusting again. Maybe someday I can truly forgive them. But that day is not today. Today it still hurts. Today I still feel the betrayal like a knife. Maybe with time the pain will fade. Maybe in a few years I'll be able to see them without this mix of sadness and anger. But I'm not going to force a forgiveness I don't feel, because that wouldn't be honest either. I sent a message through Elena. "Tell your brothers that I'm okay, that I don't hold a grudge, but that I'm not ready to see them. Tell them I pray for them and I hope they learn to value people before they lose them." Elena told me Daniel cried when he heard the message. And that Mark asked whether there was any way to earn back my trust. I told Elena, "Tell them trust is built through years of doing the right thing. It's destroyed in a second by betrayal. And it's rebuilt, if it's ever rebuilt, through years of remorse proven by actions, not words." I don't know whether they'll understand. I don't know whether they truly care or just want to ease their conscience. But that's their responsibility now, not mine. My responsibility now is to myself. To live well, to be happy, to use the years I have left. Because for 68 years I lived for other people. Now I live for myself. And I will not apologize for that. Yesterday I looked at myself in the mirror. I saw my wrinkles, my gray hair, the marks of time. And instead of feeling sadness for what I lost, I felt pride. Pride that I survived, that I defended myself, that I'm still standing after everything. I am Helen Rivers. I am 69 years old. I am a mother, a grandmother, a friend, and for the first time in my life I am free. This is my story. The story of how they almost took everything from me and how I decided to fight back. The story of how the family I built betrayed me, and how I found real family elsewhere. The story of a woman who lived for others and finally learned to live for herself. If you're reading this and you see yourself in my story, I want to tell you something. It's never too late to stand up for yourself. You're never too old to set boundaries. It's never selfish to protect your dignity. For years I believed that being a good mother meant sacrificing everything. That a mother's love was unconditional no matter how your children treated you. I was wrong. Love has to be mutual. Respect has to go both ways. Family isn't just blood. Family is the person who's there with you in the good times and the bad. The person who values you, respects you, takes care of you. And if your blood family doesn't do that, then they aren't family. They're just people who share your last name. I found more love in Grace, my closest friend, than in my own children. I found more support in Mr. Thomas Bennett, a stranger who became an ally, than in the people I raised. And that taught me that family is chosen just as much as it's inherited. Now I look forward. I have plans, dreams, goals. I want to visit the Grand Canyon. I want to learn how to swim even though I'm older. I want to write a book telling my full story. I want to watch my new grandchild grow up. I want to keep giving talks and helping other older people defend themselves. I want to live each day as if it were a gift, because it is. Every day I'm no longer being exploited is a gift. Every day I can decide what to do with my time is a gift. Every day I look in the mirror and feel proud is a gift. To every woman going through something similar, I'm telling you, don't give up. Don't let them make you feel guilty for protecting yourself. Don't believe that because you're older you don't have rights anymore. Don't accept crumbs of respect from people who owe you everything. You matter. You're important. You deserve dignity, respect, and real love. And to the children who abuse their elderly parents, I'm saying this. One day you will grow old too. One day you will need help, care, and respect. And the way you treat your parents today is the way your children will treat you tomorrow. That's justice. That's life. Daniel, if you ever read this, I want you to know I still love you because you're my son, and that kind of mother's love doesn't disappear, even if you tried to rob me. But loving you doesn't mean allowing you to hurt me. I love you, but I will not allow you to disrespect me. I love you, but I will not let you back into my life until you prove with actions, not words, that you've changed. Mark, my baby. I hope someday you learn to be responsible. I hope you understand that debts are paid with honest work, not by stealing from your mother. I hope you grow up, mature, and I hope your children never do to you what you did to me. Elena, my beautiful girl, thank you for always being there. For calling me, for worrying about me, for loving me without expecting anything in return. You showed me that I was a good mother, that at least one of my children grew up with values. I love you with all my heart. Grace, my dear friend, I don't have words to thank you for everything you did for me. You gave me a home when my own children left me without one. You gave me support when I needed it most. You reminded me that I have worth, right when I'd forgotten it myself. You're the sister life gave me. And Mr. Thomas Bennett, thank you for helping me defend myself through the legal system, for not judging me, for treating me with respect and dignity. You showed me there are still good people in the world. People who help without expecting anything in return. Over these past months I've learned more about myself than in my entire life before this. I learned I'm stronger than I thought, smarter than I believed, more valuable than they ever made me feel. I lived for 68 years believing my worth was in what I did for other people. The shirts I ironed, the meals I cooked, the children I cared for, the sacrifices I made. But now I know my worth is in who I am, in my essence, my dignity, my humanity. And that worth doesn't depend on anyone else. It doesn't depend on whether my children appreciate me or not. It doesn't depend on how much money I have. It doesn't depend on whether I'm young or old, pretty or not, useful or not. My worth is mine. It exists because I exist. And no one can take it from me. This lesson almost cost me everything to learn. They almost stole my home. They almost declared me incompetent. They almost left me with nothing. But in the process of defending myself, I found something even more valuable than any house or any amount of money. I found myself. And now that I've found myself, I will not lose myself again. Now that I've reclaimed my voice, I will not go silent again. Now that I've set boundaries, I will not lower them again. This is the new Helen. The Helen who says no when something isn't right. The Helen who defends her rights. The Helen who lives for herself without guilt. And this Helen is who I should have been all along. I hope my story inspires someone. I hope one woman in a similar situation reads this and finds the courage to stand up for herself. I hope a child who is abusing their parents reads this and stops to think. I hope someone somewhere learns something from my experience, because if my pain helps spare someone else pain, then it was worth telling. This Friday I turn 70 and I'm going to celebrate like I've never celebrated a birthday. I'm going to celebrate life, freedom, dignity, true friendship, real love. I'm going to celebrate that I survived, that I defended myself, that I won. And I didn't just win money, though that too. I won something far more important. I won my freedom, my peace, my dignity. I won myself back. And that has no price. So if you're listening to my story from wherever you are, San Antonio or anywhere in the world, I want you to hold on to this. It's never too late. You're never too old. It's never impossible. Stand up for yourself. Set boundaries. Value yourself. Because you're worth it. We all are. And no one, absolutely no one, has the right to make you feel less. What would you do if you were in my place? Would you forgive your children? Would you let them back into your life? Or would you keep your distance the way I did? Comment below with your opinion. Tell me your story if you've been through something similar. And tell me, what city are you listening from so I know how far my story has reached? And if you know someone who's living with family abuse, share this story. Maybe it will give them the courage they need to defend themselves. Maybe it will remind them they're not alone. Maybe it will show them that you can make it through. I am Helen Rivers. I am 70 years old. I am free. I am strong. I am valuable. And my story is just beginning, because the last years of my life will not be sacrifice and suffering like the first ones were. They will be joy, adventures, and living for myself. Finally, I'm going to live for myself. And it feels wonderful. This was my story. The story of a woman who almost lost everything, but in the end found herself again. Thank you for listening. Thank you for staying with me through this. And remember, it's never too late to stand up for yourself. It's never too late to live your own life. It's never too late to be free. Let us know in the comments which moment moved you the most. Subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any new stories.